Hey guys, GHD here, back with another video. Today, I will be doing an in-depth pet guide. If you remember, a couple of days ago, I asked if you wanted me to make one of these, and the response was overwhelming. So, because this is an in-depth guide, I will split it into sections for your convenience, so feel free to skip to any of these sections, or just stick along for the ride. I should first say the BikuriBox12 also just recently posted a very well made pet guide video, and since I was already halfway through making this one specifically, I've opted to post it anyway, but definitely go and check out his version as he might cover over something that I don't, and vice versa, so let's go. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I have a maxed out divine pet, so I like to think that I have some sort of grasp on how the pet system works in this game, and having been through the entire process myself, I hope you guys can benefit from the tips I might have. So what are the basics? Well, there is no arguing that pets are now a very core feature of Realm of the Mad God. Whether you hate them or not, they do alter gameplay quite drastically. There are 5 different rarity types that your pet can evolve to, and most of the time you will start at the first rarity, Common. Each time you level a pet up, the ability that you leveled will increase in strength, frequency, and duration, which is pretty self-explanatory. The first step you must take when maxing a pet is choosing what family you want your pet to be. There are a total of 14 different family types that can only be fused with each other, so crossbreeding doesn't work in the game, and depending on the family type you can get a range of pets. For example, if you hatch a penguin common egg, you get a random chance at getting any of the 4 different initial penguins, and each of them have their own set first abilities. But if you hatch a humanoid pet, you only have these 2 pets to obtain. This feature can either make it easier or harder to obtain certain ability combinations based on what family you choose, so just be wary of that. Each common pet will have a set first ability, depending on what sprite you get. So for example, in the feline family, only the white cat has heal as its first ability, so you'll need to keep hatching eggs until you get a white cat. The first ability will always be consistent with a pet type. The second and third ability will be randomly selected out of the 9 different ability types. The only 2 that you need to be concerned with this early on, or at all for that matter, is Heal and Magic Heal, and you want those 2 abilities as your first 2 abilities in any order that you choose. I can't stress this enough, if you have a pet without those abilities in the first 2, then it really just isn't worth making, and it's just not worth your time. This means that you do need to find a pet that has its first ability as either Heal or Magic Heal, so that includes these ones here, and then you need to get lucky enough for its second ability once you hatch the egg to be either Heal or Magic Heal depending on what the first one was. If you're super new to pets, I wouldn't worry about waiting until you get the 2 abilities in one pet. Instead, get a pet with Heal and then begin leveling it up. This way, you have a pretty cheap pet that will act as a booster to your account and gives you that just little bit of extra time to find the pet with the abilities that you want. When you inevitably hatch a pet with Heal and Magic Heal or any of those combinations, then you can stick with that family type. And now, congratulations, you have successfully chosen your family. But you might be wondering, how on earth do I even get the eggs? The easiest way is to just hop on a wizard or any class and just run around the Godlands. You'll eventually get egg bag drops, which can contain common or uncommon eggs. Rare and legendary eggs can also drop from dungeon bosses, however they are ridiculously rare and it's extremely unlikely that you'll get one, and even then it's unlikely that you'll hatch one with the abilities that you want. But if you're slightly more experienced with the game, I recommend hopping on Realmite and taking a look at all of the egg offers and then go buy some from people. It's really easy and you can specify what pet type you want. Any eggs over a common rarity act as though the 2 pets used to make it were maxed, so the max cap of this pet will be the max for its rarity. So if you hatch an uncommon egg, its first ability will be level 30. The only trade-off for this is that you can't control what level the second or third ability will be. So you could hatch an uncommon pet with the levels 30 and level 1, which is really bad. Or you could hatch an uncommon pet with the levels 30 and 27, so it's a risk. Fusing and evolving a pet is the area where you're most likely to screw up. No matter what someone tells you, whatever you do, make sure you max both pets' first abilities. If you fail to max both, then the resultant pet from your fuse won't be able to reach its own maximum level. Then it just creates an irreversible ripple effect that can't be undone and becomes permanent. Each pet rarity has its own maximum cap. Common pets max at 30, and if fused correctly, then the uncommon pet will max at 50, then the rare pet will max at 70, legendary at 90, and then finally at divine, level 100. In case that wasn't clear enough, both pets before you fuse them need to be at their maximum set cap. They need to be at level 30 for common, they need to be at level 50 for uncommon, they need to be at level 70 for rare, and they need to be level 90 at legendary. If they don't max at level 50, level 70, or level 90, depending on your pet rarity, it means you pre-fused somewhere, which resulted in a rippled reduced cap effect. Just be very wary of that and don't fuse pets that haven't been able to reach their maximum caps. But if you've done everything right, this shouldn't be a problem at all, and just disregard what I just said. There are 3 abilities per pet, each gets unlocked as your pet evolves. The second ability is unlocked at uncommon, and the third ability is unlocked at legendary. The first ability of the pet determines what the max for the next evolution will be. But if you want my advice, max both first and second abilities for both pets before fusing, because it just saves you fame in the long run, because each time your pet evolves, the cost to feed your pet increases. For example, if your uncommon pet has its second ability at level 45 and the other pet's second ability is at 47, then it averages between the two when you fuse them, so you'll actually get a pet when you fuse them at level 50 and 46. But if you only care about your first ability being high, then the second ability won't really matter to you anyway. With fusing, you retain the abilities of the pet on the left. Think of it as the left pet eats the one on the right and gets stronger. Your pet can evolve in rarity 4 times, but only evolves in appearance twice. When you hit rare, your pet gets larger, and then at divine, you get very large sprites, like mine here. Each time you want to go to the next rarity, you need to make sure that your pet yard is also upgraded. Each pet yard upgrade costs a lot of fame, not so much initially, but for the new player, getting fame will be very hard. So I suggest you continue watching because I do show you the fastest way to get fame a little later. But what items are best to feed to your pet for each rarity? For common, feed anything that has the feed power between 100 and 150, so that's tier 8 to tier 9 items, or if you don't care, potions also work. The way I see it is that your pet is permanent, so it's better to invest potions into your pet than any characters that you have for the common rarity, as they all have 150 feed power, except for life and mana. So run some easy dungeons like snake pits or sprite worlds to get them. With this method, you should be able to fully max out a common pretty quickly. For uncommon pets, feed power between 200 and 500 is really good, but will take longer, so just be patient. Feeding UTs is a good way to level them. Running Mana of the Mortals is great, as the UTs in the dungeon are relatively common and have really good feed power. What's even better is that the UTs here, other than the Puri, are relatively useless, so you don't feel as bad for feeding them. Running a bunch of SEMs and labs are also a very good way to get old tops and some high tier rings, which usually have around 300 feed power as well. Other than this, you can also purchase exalted rings from people that no one uses, like Exalted Vit, and the feed power on those rings is equal to 300, so that is really nice. You can also chuck any unwanted junk onto your pet if fame really isn't an issue for you, and for rare and legendary, feed power between 300 to 1000 is going to be beneficial, but most of the time it'll be items ranging from 500 to 750. If you have the capacity to get this far without spending any money, then it's more than likely that you're pretty good at the game in terms of gaining items. So feeding items like Expos, Sea Rings, Sea Silk, Planewalkers, EPs will be pretty common for you and not too much of a hassle. Then once you hit Divine, it's about the same, just pray you don't lose your mind trying to max it out, and aim to feed the items that are on the highest spectrum in terms of feed power. I'll add a disclaimer now, because spending money on your pet is a pretty common thing to do, but if you plan to spend money, whatever you do, don't invest in a pet you accidentally screwed up, and don't invest in anything below rare pets. Maxing common and uncommon pets are very achievable for any player, so save the money and wait until you have a rare pet with the abilities that you want and doesn't have a reduced maxed ability. Once you can say, yeah, I've done all of that, then go right ahead and spend some money if you want to. Okay, so that's all good and dandy if you have enough fame or gold to upgrade your pet yard, feed and fuse your pet. But the reality is you probably don't have enough fame lying around to do this. Recently I made a feeding pet video where I was dying on a bunch of tricksters over and over again, each time dying with 600 plus fame. The thing was, I only had about 220 base fame each time, and to do this, you take advantage of the initially fast fame game and fame bonuses a character can get. If you do exactly what I show you right now, it'll work for you. Step 1 is to make any class. I like to use Trickster because when you level to 20, your speed is a pretty high speed, so you can keep up with people. Remove your dagger and ability straight away and drop your health potion on the floor. Next, you should equip your pet if you have one and then head to EU North 2. Depending on the time of day, there should be a fame train up, and once you're in the realm, teleport right to the crowd of people. The aim here is to completely level up without having to shoot anything at all. Once you hit level 20, it's best to go and get a dagger. I like to use obsidian daggers because they shoot faster. This will be the hardest part. You go back to the fame train and go solo for a bit. Hopefully you can find a lonesome god. You must deal the final shot and kill it. Make sure you don't kill anything other than that one god. Once you've done this, stop shooting and go back to the train. Now all you have to do is wait here until you get 220 base fame, which should take anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes depending on how active the train is at the time. Once you gain about 220 fame, head back to the Nexus and type /tutorial. You'll then be sent to the tutorial where you can then find turrets. Shoot one of them for a while, and because the turret acts as an enemy, it'll increase your accuracy. Once you're satisfied with your accuracy gain, store all of your items and suicide your character. You should get all of these fame bonuses if you follow this exactly, and you'll be rolling in the fame in no time. So that wraps up the pet guide for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.